the opportunities that I've been able to achieve here, I appreciate that. Like, you can appreciate where you come from, although there's flaws. I don't know one country where there's not a flaw.
That's a bar. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 100K. And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Now, which country offers its citizens a better quality of life? Is it the United States of America or China? Wait a second, back that up. Cyrus, are you honestly trying to compare the United States of America, a land of democracy and freedom, with communist China? Well, before you click next on that YouTube video, I want you to give me a few moments of your time, because in today's video, I'm going to share with you a very interesting story that I recently heard that's going to help give you a little bit of perspective about the world that we live in. Everybody, my name is Cyrus Jansen, and I'm coming live at you from beautiful downtown Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm an American expat that's been living around the world for the past 14 years. Now, the story that I want to tell you today actually came from a subscriber to the YouTube channel. He decided to reach out to me because he was originally born in China, and at the age of 20, he went to the United States and earned a degree from an American university. He ended up staying in America for the better part of 3 decades, eventually becoming a naturalized American citizen. And he said, Cyrus, I want to share with you my story because I think it's going to be really providing you a really nice insight into what I've learned in being both a Chinese national and now an American citizen. Now, the story begins in the early 1970s when this individual was born in a small fishing village called Shenzhen. Now, many of you know that Shenzhen has been one of the fastest growing cities in China over the last 4 decades. But in the early 1970s, there really wasn't much happening inside of Shenzhen. In 1979, China's government decided to make Shenzhen really the first special economic zone in China. But for this young man, it didn't really have a lot of impact and change yet. But let's fast forward to the early 1990s. He said, Cyrus, because I excelled in school and I had a very high test score, I was actually chosen by China's government to go abroad, and study. And at that time, it was really a luxury. There was not a lot of Chinese students that were actually able to go abroad and study. So he said, of course, I took that opportunity and I eventually moved to California. And I earned a 4-year degree at an established American university, and I became an accountant in California. He said, Cyrus, I've lived in San Francisco now for 3 decades, and I have to say, I'm living the American dream. I'm an immigrant, as many people in America are. I become a naturalized American citizen. I have a stable job. I have a wife. I have 2 children. I have a house, a mortgage, a backyard, a dog. I literally am living the American dream. Now, he said, looking back at that time in the early 1990s, many of his closest friends and his family were actually a little bit jealous of him. You know, he was going to be able to go to America. And at that time in the early 1990s, if you were a Chinese national and you had the opportunity to go abroad, almost 99.9% of the time, you would never return back to China. You know, there's a pathway for American citizenship. At the time, America was so much better than China, so of course you would want to stay in America. He also told me that amongst his friends, it was very interesting because they all felt that he essentially had won almost the lottery. You know, if there was one person that was going to achieve incredible success in their life, of course it was going to be him. He's going to a place like America. If you look at China in the 1990s, everybody would have been envious of him because he has that opportunity to go abroad. And again, out of that circle of friends, if there was one person that was going to achieve success, let's say if there's one person that's going to become a multimillionaire, almost everybody would have said, well, it definitely has to be this individual. It has to be him because he gets the opportunity to go abroad. And then he said, Cyrus, I'm going to tell you something very interesting. In 2018, my oldest son graduated from high school. I said, I'm going to give you a graduation present. I'm going to bring you back to my home country, China. He said it was the first time in almost 3 decades that he returned back to China. Again, he basically left everything behind in China. His friends, his family, his life, and he moved to America. The promise...
Well, some ins and outs about this, bro. Like, never forget where you came from, for one.
Yes.
Number one thing that's important is never forget where you come from. You guys hear us talk about Louisiana all the time because that's where our heart is. Families out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
History, stories. But with this story at hand, I understand what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Making a better life for himself. He went through a lot of trials to get where he is. Of course, it's not easy to become a graduate. So, and you can speak on that too, becoming one as yourself. So.
Yeah, especially being a college student in a country with no family.
No family.
No family. He left his family for 3 decades. Could y'all be without your family for 3 decades?
Talk about it now.
That's a long time.
It is.
Land for a better life. But when I brought my kids back to China in 2018, we decided to go on the very typical tourist trip. You know, we flew into Beijing. Of course, we went to see the Great Wall of China. We went down to Xi'an to go see the Terracotta Warriors. We took in the beautiful city of Shanghai, the most cosmopolitan city in all of China. And then, of course, the final destination was my hometown of Shenzhen. And he said, Cyrus, I couldn't believe my eyes what had happened. Of course, I knew that China was growing. I knew that it was more prosperous. But honestly, I never, ever in my life would I have ever thought that Shenzhen could have been like this. And here's the really interesting thing. He said, Cyrus, I was able to meet up with some of my old friends, some of my old family, some of my old classmates. And the amazing thing about this is that several of them, not all of them, but several of them were able to achieve some phenomenal success on the ground in Shenzhen.
Nice.
Now here's the interesting thing. He said, Cyrus, knowing what I know now, if I could go back in time, would I choose the exact same path? Absolutely I would. He said, I have no regrets with my decision. And in fact, I love the fact that, you know, I live in America. I'm an American citizen exactly like you, Cyrus. And he's like, I love my life, I love being American, and I love this country. But here's the interesting thing. I have never in my life been more proud of China. I'm so proud of China for what it's been able to accomplish. Because again, in 1990, none of us thought that our future lives would be as good as they are. And I'm incredibly happy for my friends that have done really well. And even for the friends that have lived normal lives. I'm so happy that China, the government, and everything is improving. And that's the biggest takeaway that I learned. The purpose of today's video was not to say that China's amazing and that America is declining. The reality is, and the answer to that initial question, which country offers a better quality of life, the United States or China? The reality is...
Before he say that, I remember when we first started reacting to like culture type content. And I remember saying, I love America. And of course the comment section went bizarre.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when I look at the history of my people, when I look at the history of, you know, like my still living grandmother and how her mother was an immigrant here, it's like I wouldn't be as successful in life as I am now if it wasn't for the fight of my ancestors, if it wasn't for, you know, all 4 parts of my family tree, right? And it's like America is messed up in a lot of ways, especially with me being a black woman.
Yeah.
It's messed up in a lot of ways, but the opportunities that I've been able to achieve here, I appreciate that. Like, you can appreciate where you come from, although there's flaws. I don't know one country where there's not a flaw.
That's a bar. That's right.
Like, y'all can say what y'all want. We have been exploring a lot of countries online and offline. What you guys see and what you don't see. There's not one country that don't have a flaw. Regardless if it's a government flaw, a diversity flaw, racism, lack of resources. There's flaws everywhere. And it's like we've said before, if you can survive in America being who we are, you can essentially survive wherever.
Man,
like it's rough.
Should I even piggyback off of that? Because, man, that's a mouthful. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I mean, let me say this at least, though. everyone come to America for that American dream.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not saying nothing is wrong with your present location, but coming to America, everybody come for that American dream. And that's just that. They just want that American dream.
Right. And I mean, some people will argue and say there's no American dream. And they'll quote the man who said that you have to be asleep to believe it. And we have said time and time again, the American dream is not what it used to be. The American dream is what you make of it with the opportunity and resources that you have available to you. Our American dream does not look like our neighbor's American dream. Does not look like your American dream if you're living in America. It's about what you make of it.
Yeah, some quotes don't even have a chance with how today's society is operating.
Right.
So it don't, like, I understand what they be saying, but it don't operate in today's time.
Right. And what can you contribute here?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we are a minority in this land, right? And the history of our people in this land encourages us to create better for this land and this country, for future generations. So it's so easy to say, oh, I hate this place. No, my people have achieved a lot.
Facts. And for you y'all can definitely contribute with that conversation in the comment section, and we're going to get with y'all on that as well.
That both countries do. And that's all I'm really trying to get through in this video. You see, unfortunately, China is often demonized, and there are many misconceptions and false stereotypes that Western media and that Westerners have about the country of China. The reality is that the China of today is very different than the past. Here's another interesting statistic to give us all a valuable perspective. Currently, there are over 845,000 foreign nationals that are choosing to reside inside of China right now. Again, foreign nationals like myself, why would I leave the comforts of America, my home country, and choose to live as an expat in China for over 10 years unless I enjoyed the quality of life there? Now, some of you might be thinking, well, your quality of life as an expat is very different than local Chinese. You're almost treated a little bit better than local Chinese. So of course, you, Cyrus, as an expat, are going to enjoy your time in China. But here's another interesting thing. What we see from the Department of Education is that up to 85% of Chinese students are now choosing to return back to China. That's an incredible statistic, especially when you think of, for example, Chinese international students. They have been living abroad for at least 4 years to be able to graduate from a university. But the reality is that there's still many people that want to come to China because the future of the world is happening right now in China. There's tremendous growth opportunities in China, and there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for advancement. I'll share with you a recent article that was published in the Globe and Mail. In an article entitled, "Why Do So Many Chinese International Students in Canada End Up Back Home?" they highlighted that in 2019 there were more than 140,000 Chinese students studying in Canada alone. They asked them a simple question: where do you see the greatest economic stability and growth? 86% responded, the country of China. Rewind the clock 30 years ago. In 1990, that economic success, that prosperity, that ability to grow was not necessarily guaranteed in China. Of course, there was potential, but if you were back in 1990, you most certainly would have gone to the United States. But what we're seeing now is we've seen a fundamental shift. We've actually seen that there are many Chinese nationals that are actually choosing to go back to China because they feel that is where the greatest opportunity for growth is. So again, I think this was really an amazing email that this individual wrote to me, and I really want to thank him for sharing his story. Because again, I think it gives some valuable perspective. America is a phenomenal country. It is a country that I grew up in. I spent my first 23 years on this planet living inside the country of America. And I think at one point in the future, there will come a time where I actually might move back to America as I want to be even closer, to my friends and my family. And again, I am still very bullish on the future of America. What I advocate for on this channel is always more cooperation, learning to work together. That is what we're advocating here on this channel. So again, the purpose of this video is from some perspective. China is not exactly how, a lot of Western media likes to present it. There's actually a lot of growth, a lot of happiness, and a lot of prosperity. There's a lot of optimism. And I think if you go on the streets in China and you talk to people on the ground, you're going to experience that yourself. Like this gentleman who reached out to me and shared his individual story. If he could do it all over again, he'd still come to America. America's a great country. He's a proud, naturalized American citizen, and there's a lot of opportunity for him there. But the closing point here is that he is extremely proud of his homeland. He's extremely proud of the Chinese government and how they have been able to lead the people, transform these cities, and provide that economic pathway to more success for the citizens. And this is the main point that I want to get across. So the next time that you hear that China is this horrible place and that there's no happiness and there's no prosperity, there's no freedom there, think about it in a little bit different perspective. Take some time to talk to Chinese nationals, because even people that were born in China and that have been living abroad for decades upon decades, they actually have a tremendous amount of respect for what the government and what the country and what the people in China have been able to do. China will continue to grow. China will eventually become the #1 superpower in the world. And this is why I advocate that we need to take more time to learn about China. Everyone, thanks for spending time with me here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I can't wait to
go check out his channel, guys.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think we need more like China culture on the channel.
Yeah. I think what's going on though, I mean, media likes to, push out negative. The negative is always going to get pushed out about any location. That's why it seems that China may not be doing what they're supposed to be doing. But at the end of the day, like he's saying, it's all about somebody giving you a letter so you can understand their perspective of how the living is out there, or going out there and experience it for yourself. That's kind of the only way you can really get past the media's perspective of what they want you to know about a certain location. Yeah. I think both areas are doing a great job. Again, like you said, there's always going to be flaws, but there's always a level of success that you can get out of it as well. You just got to know what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Yeah, as far as moving abroad, I just feel like people need to really tap into their purpose, see what they want out of life, see which country offers them the best. If it's their home country, so be it. If it's somewhere abroad, take that opportunity, take that risk, learn about it, travel there, and see what's best for you. Guys, we do know that there are some things that's in the news. We just ask, don't put that in our comment section. Okay, that's not what that video is about.
Yeah, don't do that.
So, we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our join feature to become a VIP member of the channel. Send in your reaction request through our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.